the end goal would look like once they get there. Because the goal of them working with you is they want to get to that heaven stage of their desires, right? So once that's established, it allows you to move on to the next stage. So do you do stuff like that? Is kind of make them ask them like what heaven looks like, or what how would they feel once they get 100,000, or how do you do it?
Yeah, no, I definitely do. I just got to probably make it sound like heaven more.
Welcome to Entrepreneurhood, where we break entrepreneurship down into three simple pillars: business, lifestyle, and motivation. Our goal is to use our personal experiences as industry leaders to guide and inspire young entrepreneurs to see the lesson in every challenge. Because we understand that companies don't succeed, people do. Now, welcome the leaders of Entrepreneurhood, Lakim and KB.
Welcome to the neighborhood. You got your boy Lay Kim in the building, and I got my brother KB in the building with me. We on episode 53, and we decided to call this one "Don't Be Good, Be Great." Right? And KB and I, we've been doing a lot of discussions on the importance of improving yourself over the years, and as business evolve, you have to evolve. So KB's gonna let y'all know why we decided to choose this topic. So KB, let them know.
It's important as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, even as a human being, to recognize the details how you could be better. So I know, for myself, I'm one of my biggest critics. So if I do get a deal done, I'm happy that I got a deal done, but I also try to figure out how can I do it better? How can I be more efficient? So that's how we came up with this title, Don't Be Good, Be Great.
Yeah. Now, I think over the years, right, you and I, we've been in business, you over 10 years and, me going on 9. And what I've been realizing and understanding is things that worked in year 1 and 2 didn't work in year 6, 7, 8, 9, So what are your thoughts on that? And what's your take on it?
You got to evolve. Like evolution is inevitable. So that comes with, business as well. You can't be the same person you were, and you got to handle, objections, things differently. And then even your style or scheme has to develop. So it's like, MySpace is one day for some people, then it became Facebook, then it became Instagram, and now what's next is, TikToks and threads. So we don't know what's really next, but you really have to be on what's coming. Like you have to really know what's ahead of the game. So you can't be doing the same plays. They don't work. Like you try to run the play from years ago, it's not gonna work.
Facts, bro. And one thing that just came to my mind, let's talk about the evolution of KB the trainer. Like even from your logo, bro, I feel like when I remember the first logo was like the globe, or I don't know if there was one before that. So talk about the evolution of where KB the trainer brand started to Body by KB. I feel like there was mad evolutions in that period.
Nah, that's a fact. Yeah, the globe was definitely one aspect of it. I had like a globe with a guy like holding up the world. And then I had added like a female into it, a guy and a female holding up the world. And then that transcended over to Team KB. And
Yeah, yep.
Everybody Fitbee is my company name. So Everybody Fitbee LLC. And then that transferred over to just Team KB. And then from Team KB, it transferred over to Body by KB.
Yeah.
So, and it was funny with that transfer because at that point in time, everybody wanted to get their body done, like getting surgery, getting a BBL, getting lipo, butt lift, whatever. So if they come to me, they was like, "Yo, I want my body by KB," and then I just end up running with it. So that became more prevalent than Team KB. So I end up trademarking it.
Damn.
And then start doing clothing and just start marketing it more.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the importance of evolving, right? You understood that in order to be great, the brand, the logo, everything had to evolve in order to keep showing your evolution in business.
Yeah, nah, it's definitely a fact. It's funny you asked me about that because I didn't really notice. Like I don't really pay attention because I'm always moving, but literally everything's a story behind it. And it's not like I just came up with this. I usually respond to the people and listen to what they're saying. and then I just put it out there. Similar to what Drake does with all his songs.
Wait, so what's Drake's angle? Like what do you mean by that?
He literally goes by what, what the streets are saying, what the people are saying, and he puts something out that's very similar. So a lot of his hooks and stuff is very things that we say on a regular. So, worst behavior, trophies. You think about those hooks, they're very simple. It's not, it's nothing really too crazy because it's already been said already. So I learned that from Kanye and the Dipset, how they sample songs that's already great. So you already like it because of the undertone comes from somewhere else. So it's basically like, make things simpler with your business by hearing what people are responding to, your customer feedback, and use that as your advantage to make the adjustments.
Yeah. And I feel like when it comes to business, one of the biggest things I want entrepreneurs to realize is you have to be always on the seek to be improving your business, right? So before this episode, or before we start recording, I was telling KB, one of the biggest hurdles I had to overcome was the first few years of my business. I was killing it. I was doing really well. But when it came to like year 5 or year 6, right after COVID, I kept trying to do things that worked in 2016, 2017. And now we in 2021. And I started realizing that like, yo, I'm not getting the same results. And I was getting frustrated. I'm like, why is it not working? And that's the biggest thing that entrepreneurs we struggle with is, yo,
what were some of the methods that you were using before that you're trying to use now?
So I think some of the methods I was using was really just training methods, how I was training employees, how I was interviewing them. I was saying the same exact things. And even the way that people were getting paid. I think I was trying to use the same payment method of like, as the economy goes, you got to naturally increase your pay, but I wasn't trying to increase the pay. So
wow.
I was trying to pay people in 2021 the same wage I was paying people in 2016. And maybe that was the issue on why I wasn't getting the same results.
Yo, you're such a capitalistic capitalist. I'm not gonna ask you who you voted for.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, bro. It was that probably now as we're speaking and as I'm looking at, I think that was probably one of the biggest things. But even just on the way I was marketing, I think as time evolved, you got to change your lingo. And even though it was still always 100% commission when I was running the company, I had to like make it sound a little bit more sexier. So I would say I would give you a base pay, but the base pay would be contingent on you doing 4 sales. If you do 4 sales, you qualify for a base. So it still was 100% commission because if you did no sales below the base, you would only get paid what the commission was. So again, just being more innovative was what I didn't want to do, but I realized I had to. And once I made that adjustment, then I started to see some progress again.
How did you learn that to make those adjustments?
What I think every entrepreneur should do, you just assess the market and see what your competition was doing. And all of the other managers in the sales industry, I was like, yo, how are you consistently growing? Like, how are you getting more employees? How are you getting your retention so high? And what every manager was telling me was, like, Kim, you just got to change the wording in your marketing. And once I made that adjustment, I started noticing improvements in the retention and the quality and just overall employee happiness. I felt like it was just way better.
That's very interesting. So I got a question. So when it comes down to, say if you have a closing now and you close, 1 year coaching clients, do you do an assessment right after their closing?
Do I assess myself or do I assess them?
You assess yourself.
Yeah. So I don't know if I do it consciously or not, but like the main thing that I try to do between each call is every time I close a new coaching client with my accountability coaching right now is I ask myself, what could I have done to add more value to this client. So from my very first coaching client until now, I realized there was so much more opportunity for me to add more value to make my offer more undeniable. So like, for example, some of my first coaching clients, they'll tell you, they're like, yo, Lay Kim, when I did my intro call or when I did my coaching calls, it was all over the phone, because I just wanted to make the point of entry as easy and less resistance as possible for myself and for them. But as I kept going, I started realizing when I started doing things on Zoom, that's when I started even getting a higher level of engagement and better results, because I was able to read my clients' body language and figure out more things based on the problems they were telling me of how I could then add that to an offer, right? So I would, for the longest period in the beginning stages, I kept my coaching prices the same. And then I started adding more value, and then it allowed me to increase my price. And then as my price increased, I was like, all right, this is a good number. Like, I'm happy with this particular number. Now, how could I add more value to this number to make this offer irresistible? And once I kept doing that, I've been noticing over the last couple of months, my leads have been going through the roof, and the closing has been easier, right? Because I noticed the areas of what people wanted, and now I include that in my standard offer.
So when you decided to make that switch to Zoom, did it work right away, or did you have any objections when you made that first switch?
Now I feel like everybody was real receptive to it, right? Like, I think people, they enjoy just reading each other's body language, because when it comes down to communication, and I always used to teach this to my sales team, is like 90% of communication is nonverbal, right? So all that means is your facial expressions, your tonality, all of that stuff is way more important than the words that you're actually saying. So I'm like, bro, anyone that's doing sales calls, consultations, assessments, I think it is so important to make sure that you try your best to see the client so you can gauge how to adjust the conversation as it's going along. So I don't know, bro. I think, to be honest, I'm biased on this, but I think everyone, when they're meeting someone for the first time and they're selling a service or product, should try to add a visual aspect to it, because if not, you're missing out on 90% of the communication.
That's interesting. I think I don't know. I might mandate that as well. See that for my next calls. Usually my calls do over the phone because I use my laptop, and it's like I'd rather just see the data points for their credit report. But I mean, based on here you saying it, I'm willing to give it a shot. I mean, you're not gonna know until you do it. So
yeah. And I even remember you saying when you were doing your training packages, you said that they were like, what, an hour? How long were the phone calls?
well, originally I was doing everything through text.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, so that's what. So
hold on. You got to share that. So you were closing people text. All right. So explain the backstory on how you went from text messages to phone calls to what you eventually started doing.
So my whole strategy is like I could text more people because I was getting a whole bunch of leads. But I'm like, I could really text them and get more things done. So that was the strategy at that point because I had a super phone. So being that it's for text messaging marketing, I'm like, if they don't follow up with me, if they don't commit to me, I can always follow with them within this number. So I didn't realize it. I just like, this is something that was easy for me. It's like I could text, I could send emojis. All right, cool. Like, I could sign them up, get them started ASAP because the demand was so high that I was like, all right, this is working. And then I never really took time out to like, yo, I want to talk to somebody on the phone. Like, that was the last thing I'll ever do. Like, I'm not about to talk to you on the phone. Like, let's just get started. But I realized as my price increased for my offer, it has to be a little bit more personal and a little bit more spaced out as far as touches of the client. Because to make somebody do a $50 transaction or $300 is different from a $3K or $5K transaction.
Yeah.
So as I realized that more, I'm like, all right, let me just extend this a little bit more, and let me have a stronger vetting process as well, so they can understand me. And my strong marketing helped. I brought in leads, but as my offer got increased, people were more like, yeah, I'm gonna get back to you, being reluctant about it. And that's how I started to notice the certain objections. I'm like, they just don't feel me enough. So I started doing the phone calls, then I started doing the group Zoom calls. And then from there, I had my VA, she was closing some people for me.
Yeah.
So
with that, right? So how long were you texting people before you realized, all right, maybe I should start calling people?
about my first couple years of training.
Yeah.
I,
What?
yeah, like in the beginning, I was doing calls, right? And then I realized, all right, some people they just want to talk, but I didn't have a system of questions I was going to ask them, except for getting started. This is how much it costs. What's your schedule? And then after I was getting a high demand, I'm like, yeah, let me just text them, because this might be faster. And I literally was doing that for years. And when I took my coaching course and I paid for my mentorship, it's like, so how you been doing so well? I'm like, I've been texting you.
Yo.
Literally, I built, 6-figure brand business off of text messages.
Off of text message marketing. That's crazy. So, all right, let's talk to the entrepreneurs that's listening to this, because
don't do that anymore.
that's what I'm saying, bro. Because that's a KB method, and obviously KB, he's personable, has a very established brand, right? So I think it was easier for him to go through the text message and approach. But what would you say now, right? Like, to an entrepreneur that's trying to start a business, scale, would you recommend them to start by texting their clients and closing deals that way?
No. It worked for me, and this was, years ago. However, you want to build the rapport with the client, and you want to have a system set up, your SOP set up, so they can have multiple touches before they actually speak to you. So by the time they speak to you, they understand, they saw a couple of videos of you, they're excited, and now they're just trying to figure out how can they get started. So I would say definitely have a system. The text message might not work no more, especially if you got high ticket offers. So if you offering a $2,000 package and up, you definitely need to spend some quality time and have a booking link and a booking schedule. So this way you can be more efficient. And then when you set it up like that, I don't know if you guys ever played golf before, but on a real course, you start off with the driver, and that's usually your marketing, and bring your awareness to it. And as you keep getting closer, you change to a smaller club. And when you get to the green, you just putting it in. So when you get to the end of the call, it's just like, all right, this is the car information. This is how you sign up. I'm gonna see an invoice. Boom, boom, boom. It's pretty much easy. So you want to make sure your marketing is strong and your messaging is strong. So when you get on the phone, they're like, yo, this is what I've been waiting for. I've been praying for this opportunity. And that's how you want to set your business now.
Thank you, bro, because I feel like clarifying that for the entrepreneurs is definitely going to let any new entrepreneurs that's listening how to, start the right process. So again, another follow-up question from that, Kay, is you said they should get a booking link, right? So, for people that's, I don't know, just starting out, do you have a recommendation on what booking links you've used, or what booking links you're using right now?
I use Calendly.
Okay.
Because I'm a person, I'm very user friendly. Like if it's very simple to me, the better. So I use Calendly. Other people have Once Hub. Acuity is another one for a lot of people in the beauty industry.
Yeah, I used Acuity in the beginning.
Yeah, so Calendly works perfect for me.
Yeah.
And I integrate that with Go High Level.
Right. And for myself, the booking link that I initially was using was Acuity, because my mentor was using that same booking link. But as I kept evolving in business, I wanted to find something that was going to be a one-stop shop, right? A one platform that would encompass everything that I was looking for. And my go-to booking link and just CRM in general is Go High Level, right? So Go High Level is what I found one of the most effective platforms. It's a little bit complicated in the beginning because you need a professional that could help you set it up. And my
Very
team,
complicated, very.
yeah, it's not super user friendly. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. But my team does provide that service where I help someone set up their Go High Level. But my booking link is through Go High Level, and it makes it super easy, bro. Like, I can send text messages, I can view my calendar. I send that link to people, and it just made my business like way simplified.
Yeah, nah, I love Go High Level, and it's like you're always learning how to use it in a better way. So it's definitely a one-stop shop for sure. So but you have to take time out to learn it though.
Yeah, it's not something you could just jump in and be like, it's gonna work for me day one. It's like, nah, not this platform.
Yeah. And the other thing, for this episode, the other angle, don't be good, be great. Is really just being a self-awareness of your business, like studying how the little details you can do in a conversation. So we speak about body language, eye contact is very important, especially if you're doing something in person. So these little things, these little cues can help build the trust or lower the trust when you're speaking to your client trying to make the transaction. So even with myself, I had a call yesterday, and basically I had to see if she was qualified for funding, and she needed to make some changes to her data points. But I knew I could help her, but I didn't feel confident about how I handled the call. And when I realized, I'm like, yo, I didn't make her sell to me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I should have positioned like, oh, I could do this, and I could fix it. Nah, why do you think you need my service? Or why do you think you're eligible for my services?
Yep.
And I should have positioned that way. And I usually do, but I guess I was just trying to just get the close that I kind of forget about my own method and going through my own steps or process. So don't forget that when you're actually in the midst of it, regardless of whatever circumstance you have, stick to your guns and go through your formula, go through your steps.
So looking back on that particular call, right? If you were to run it back, you had a second opportunity to speak to the same client, like what changes would you have made to like get your desired outcome?
For one, I don't think I like her. So I had to ask myself, is this somebody I want to work with? But two, I would just it's not even addressing my expertise. It's understanding that this is my standard of how I do business. So usually when it comes down to it, I gotta look over people's Experian reports. So I prepared her for the call prior. I said, make sure you download Experian, upload your account, and then so we can actually, see what your credit is looking like. And now I probably can do another message beforehand, have set up like, yo, did you download it? To let you know this is what's gonna happen. Because you got on the phone, it's like, oh, that's kind of strange. I'm like, what do you mean it's kind of strange? It's in the booking link. But most people don't read the details. So giving them another opportunity, like, listen, I can't go forward until we actually do this. And then, that's one thing. The other second thing is the position of value. You reached out to me because of a referral.
Yeah.
I didn't reach out to you. I didn't do any cold calling to you. I didn't do no cold DMs. You need my help. Somebody told you about how good I am. So you have to go based on the referral that referred you to me. So it's explaining that this is my standard of business. This is how I do things. This is how things get done. And if you fall below that standard, then we can't work together.
Yeah. And I think, see, bro, like that's a great self awareness of just taking yourself out of that current situation. So now moving forward, it's just, yo, bro, stick with what you wrote down. So do you have a script, or do you have a structure, or is it like just from experience?
Yeah, I had a script from the beginning, but I don't go based on the script. Basically, what I do is diagnose what's their investment. Like, what's your investment? What's the details of the investment? How much it's going to cost, so we can know how much funding we're going to get. And then from there, now it's about the data, checking if you're actually eligible. And actually eligible, I give them a quick diagnosis of, all right, this is how far you're away. This is how close you are to being optimal. And then I ask them, I let them know my process and how it works. And after I let them know the process, like, listen, this is what we need to do to go forward. And, you know, do you have any other questions after I explain all the details? And they usually be like, no, I'm ready, whatever I got to do. And because I put myself in that position of value where it's like, you got everything I need. And when you have to do that, you know how to express that in a way where, I just want to get it done. If I know if I talk to you, I'm gonna get it done fast as possible, best service as possible. And then they sign immediately.
Yeah. Huh. And here's what I want to do too, bro. So I just pulled up a document and I want to share it with the audience to kind of help them build, if you are new to consultations, having one-on-one appointments, I'm going to share with you, 4 or 5 steps of a simple guideline that anyone should be able to follow to help you just be more effective throughout the conversation to get your desired outcome. Because the key with what KB is saying is making sure you have a structure and stick to your structure, right? In the beginning, you might need a script, but once you get your reps in, it's going to be ingrained into your memory. All right. So the first thing is stage 1, whenever you're building a relationship and you're trying to, get a client to see the value in you, you want to make sure you have a solid introduction, right? With your introduction, you want to make sure you're establishing rapport, right? Don't just jump into a call and be like, yo, all right, so how much money do you got? Right? Like I don't think that's the best way to go about it. So step 1, establish rapport, right? Step 1, part A, is you want to make sure you set the intention and establish the authority. Let them know you are the expert, right? And you have what they need to get the job done. And one of my favorite parts, this is still all a part of the introduction, is you want to try your best to eliminate the main objections you get in the beginning part of, or in the general conversation that you get. So before I keep going, KB, for yourself, what are some of the common objections that you get when you're funding, or even when you were doing training through the years?
I don't have no money.
Yeah.
I need more time to think about it. Let me get back with you. I'm working. I'm trying to work. Make a decision between you and somebody else.
Yep. And you said, bro, and you said 2 of the main objections that a lot of people get when they're trying to make a decision, right? Number 1, the main objection that most people will share with you as you start selling high ticket items or anything over $1,000 or in that ballpark. Number 1 is I need to think about it, right? So as you're establishing that kind of, you want to address that objection, one of the best ways to do that is you want to say, all right, so here's literally word for word what I say to my clients as I'm addressing that objection, right? So I would say, now, before we dive in, I just want to tell you that the most successful clients that has gotten X result, whatever the result is, right? They have 2 common traits. They're extremely committed and they're decisive about what they want. So my goal is, by the end of this call, I want you and me to be 100% have 100. Let me rephrase that. I want you and me to be 100% in or out on whether we're going to be working together or not. So, because I want to enjoy the people that I work with. So I'm good with either way, right? But I just want to avoid the call. I want to avoid ending the call with, I need to think about it. Because that's most times a nice way of saying no. So is that something that we could agree to? Now, if you establish that objection right in the beginning of the call, after you establish your authority, the chances of you getting, I need to think about it at the end of the call, it drops significantly, right? So that's number 1. And then the second objection is when people say, I need to talk to my partner, my spouse, my significant other, whatever the case may be. Now, how you address that in the beginning of the call is when you just say, hey, so before we continue, is there anybody else, like a business partner or a significant other, that helps you make financial decisions, or is it just you? Now, if you establish that in the beginning of the call, you are very, very unlikely to get those objections at the end because you're airing it in the beginning. So what are your thoughts on that, Kay?
No, I think that for sure. Like, when I say it too, I usually tell them like, I don't fund you unless you have a plan. So I'm not just here for people for just a good credit score. So basically, like, you got to show me why I need to help you. And the other factor is letting them know, what I do is I offer is different. It's not, you could go into the bank by yourself and try to apply and it won't be the same result.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of like people that already started their process and failed.
Yep.
It makes it much easier. Like literally the call I had today from the remix call I had yesterday, she was a failure. And I pointed out, many pain points. And I made jokes about it. I'm like, oh, this is why you got denied. And I had to really let you know, like, you didn't know what you were doing. But the best thing you did is book a call today.
Mm.
And I always, point at the pain all the time, but realize like you made the best decision by making a call. So I'm glad we speaking now and then later, because you would have dealt with the same issue, you would have the same problem. So I'm very antagonistic
Yep.
in my calls. We're not friends until you sign at the end and everybody's laughing. But in the beginning, it's like, all right, what's your plan? What are you doing? I really diagnosed them to a point where they realize, like, damn, I really don't know what I'm doing. So I need more than funding.
Yep.
And it's like, you definitely do. You don't have a marketing plan. You don't have a funnel. You don't have a website. You don't even know what you plan to make per month. So why do you need an extra $100,000 for what?
Genius, bro. And you know what's so crazy? You literally said stage 2. So back to like that script of, what people need to do to be more effective as they're trying to guide a conversation. So stage 1 is the introduction. Stage 2 is you want to set the doctor frame to diagnose the problem, which is what you just said, right? So you want to identify the problems and the pains. I think that's very important. And then stage 3 is establish what heaven looks like for the client. And what I mean by that, establish what heaven looks like, is you want to ask some questions. And I'm sure you do stuff like this, Kay, where you say, yo, if I get you $100,000 in funding or 200,000, how would that make you feel? Right? Or you want to kind of have them envision what the end goal would look like once they get there. Because the goal of them working with you is they want to get to that heaven stage of their desires, right? So once that's established, it allows you to move on to the next stage. So do you do stuff like that? Is kind of make them ask them like what heaven looks like, or how would they feel once they get 100,000, or how do you do it?
Yeah, no, I definitely do. I just got to probably make it sound like heaven more. But I usually ask them like, what's the projection? What are you trying to make per month? And then it's like, all right, what's the play that you're running? Let me know what you're doing. How are we going to make this money? And, that's when they start getting excited. Like, yo, if I do this, I'm gonna put the money here and I'm gonna make it, $3K a month. And after the $3K a month, then I'm going to do this and I'll be able to get my house. So I can really expand more. Like, as I'm learning now in this episode, what I can change, the little details I can change to expand more on the current reality to the preferred reality.
Yep.
And, once you have those pinpoints, it's like you just taking them, painting a picture for them, and you take them on this roller coaster. And it's like, yo, I need to be with you during this process. Hold my hand and guide me through this.
Bro, exactly. And that brings me to stage 4. So stage 4, KB, is when you got to bridge the gap. So what bridge the gap is you want to ask them, so like, why don't you keep doing it the way that you're doing it right now? And when you ask a client that, right, they're literally going to give you these 4 or 3 common responses. They're either going to say, number 1, I don't know how to do it. Number 2, I've already wasted time on doing this for months, years, weeks, whatever the case may be. Or number 3, they're going to just let you know, I want to work with someone that's already have done it. So when you bridge the gap, you're just letting them know, like, why don't you keep doing it the way that you're doing it now? And once you position it like that in stage 4, they're going to realize why they need you, right? Which is going to bring me to stage 5, bro. And stage 5 is exactly what you said. Stage 5 is qualify. and in parentheses, I put have them sell themselves to you. So when someone have them sell themselves to you, that's them now saying like why they believe they're the right client for you. And once that's established, it allows you to smoothly go into your presentation and then the close.
No, that's definitely genius hearing it again, because there's little things I'm going to do for my call tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm going to implement, because, and that's the part about it, is like, I don't want to just be good. I want to be great. So I want to make certain adjustments, even at this level, you know, of entrepreneurship in these years, because there's so much things that we can do. And it's only going to be bigger deals on the table, where these same methods going to have to be put in place.
Yeah, bro, because you know what we were saying and sharing on the call is you were just telling me about how frustrated you are on how a deal just fell off the table, and that's still a fresh wound. So I don't even know if you feel comfortable sharing that right now, but you know, like, do you want to talk about it? Like, what are your thoughts?
Now we can talk about it. I mean, it's part of entrepreneurhood, man.
We're giving them the real. So yeah, so KB just told me a little bit about how you just went through an experience where just lost a $40,000 deal. Like that's different, bro.
Yeah. And I did everything, you know, right on paper. So it's like I end up selling the house, put it on the market, sold it in one weekend.
Damn, this thing
30
is good.
30K over asking. And you know, it was perfect layout. And I warned them beforehand of the family, like, listen, the house is going to sell fast. I'm going to position it for it to be off the market and one open house, so we have to keep doing open houses. And they're like, yeah, that's cool. That would be good. I'm like, yeah, but this is the next step after that. You know, they're going to do the inspection. After the inspection, they're going to want to go on contract. And then after you go on contract, then the banks will handle their part. But yeah, okay. And my whole thing was too, is like, what do you guys plan? So I was aware of it, and I knew I needed to ask them about that, but I wasn't in full control of that aspect, because they were supposed to be moving out of state. I'm only licensed in New York State. So it's really so much I can do, but at the same time, these are things I need to answer, because if they don't find another property, then they're not going to want to sell.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, if we get to the part where you're supposed to sign, the buyer's supposed to sign, seller's supposed to sign, and we're good to go. We're in contract. I can wipe my hands and I could just show up in closing and collect my check. Yeah, they had cold feet.
Wow.
And I got the call today, and it's like, yeah, we don't think we want to go forward right now. It's just not a good time. And it's like, okay, so what's going to make it a good time? So even at this point, when they told me not doing it, I'm still trying to be solution-based as well. Because I told them I want to help you. Regardless if you don't do the sale now, I still have to help you if you're talking about you want to put it on the market again next year. Granted, you might lose 100,000 in net profit, but that's on you. That's the risk that you're taking. And you know, they were just emotionally flustered of the indecisiveness, and I just had to be calm about it and had to realize, like, all right, what can I do better next time? I did everything right, you know, according to what I know, but there's something else I can probably do to help better the situation or try to avoid this objection. So, you know, what I got out of it is that I got to be very clear about what's my mission and what's their mission after the sale is done. Especially if I'm selling something, they got to go buy something else. And it's like, all right, I need to speak to your realtor. I don't care what state he's in. I need to call him, make sure he has that property available. Give me his information. If you don't have his information, then I can't put your house up.
Yeah.
It's going to sell too fast. And that's how I'm in position, bro.
That's crazy. Like to hear a realtor say, you know, like, you know, if I don't have these particular steps, the house is going to sell too fast. Like, you know, that's a level of confidence and you know, just you know what you're doing, you know what you're doing, and you know what the outcome will be, and learning from that, right? And I think the whole idea of why we're sharing these experiences is we really want people to understand that, like, you always got to be evolving, you always got to be adapting. So now that you lost, you know, that big deal off the table, right? Like, what are you going to do different next? Like, what's going to be a bare minimum of something that I just can't accept if this is not present?
If they don't have a clear plan of what's going to happen after the sale. Because in order to, most houses, people who have a house, they have to sell the house contingent on buying the next house.
Yeah.
So, you know, we could take pictures, but I won't list it until you have a house in mind, because it's not going to make any sense going forward. Me doing my, you know, my work to my best ability and you not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So I do have another opportunity, another listing, and I'm glad you guys happened today, because I'm going to go so hard on this lady.
Yep.
And make sure that she has everything situated before I list it. Because I want to get the listing as fast as possible. I can get paid and help her, but at the same time, I have to help her throughout the whole process. Because if she doesn't have a point B, then A is not going to matter.
Bro, and I think that's the biggest thing, you know, every entrepreneur, anyone that listening needs to take away is like, know how to serve your clients at the highest level, right? Because what, you know, that experience is the first time is like, if you keep making the same mistakes over and over, like one of my big things that I say a lot to myself is, you know, fool me once, shame on me. No, you know, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice. No, how it go? Fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, right? And like, that's how business is like, yo, if you keep like hitting your head into the same problem, it's like, bro, when are you going to make the adjustment to make sure that when that situation happens, you get around it way quicker, right?
I can't lose another 40K, bro.
Yeah, those numbers ain't, you know, something to play with. It's not something to joke around with, bro.
Yeah. And it's not even just the 40K, it's the momentum, because after I sell the house, that gives me content, that gives me social proof, and that's only going to lead to more deals. So now, you know, I look like the guy that got stuff, you know, offers, but I ain't get it in contract.
Damn.
So, you know, everything plays a role. So it's like, you know what? I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna use this to my advantage and take out whatever I can fix, because I gotta finish the job. So it's like, job not finished. I didn't get paid. So you know, I put in the work for these open houses. I made these different calls. I spent my time. Forget the money, it's my time. I, you know, catered to this deal. So I'm like, yo, what can I do better? Because this cannot happen again.
Bro, so I think hopefully the listeners, you know, they're getting what we putting down on, you know, business is about evolving. It's about learning from your mistakes and seeing what you could do different the next time you're in that situation, because chances are if you plan on being in one particular industry, you're going to see the same situations over and over. So what would you say, bro, as we wrap up this episode, to people that they're comfortable with being good and they're scared to get on the other side, which is greatness?
I want to say, everybody say, you know, it's not a loss, it's not a lesson, right? Which means we pay attention a lot to the losses, but also pay attention in the W's. That's what makes you different. So I don't care if you won the game by 40, you got a first round knockout. Pay attention what you could do even better to make it happen even more efficiently. And I think that's the biggest difference in my journey, and the people that inspire me, is that it's the little details that makes the biggest difference. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to scale your business up to 5K, 10K, 50K a month, what are the little things that you're not doing, or what's the little things that you can do even better to make that happen and bring that to reality?
Yeah.
Be great.
Yo, that's it. And I think, Kay, like, that's, to reiterate what we said in the beginning, is like, bro, what worked for you your first year, your first couple of months, you always gotta be evolving. Because would you say like the things that work for you in the beginning part of funding, or those that like exactly the same things that's working for you now?
Not at all. It's been a year.
Yo, you know, so that says everything, bro. Like in less than 12 months, you know, even things that worked 6-7 months ago isn't the things that's working right now. So for every entrepreneur that's listening, like, what KB and I really want you to take away from this is look for ways to improve. Never settle for the things that was working in the beginning, because the things that was working in the beginning could be your downfall if you stay on that path. And I think that's what I've learned over the years in business, bro, is, you can't be stuck on the things that got you to where you are, right? You always got to be looking for what's going to get you to that next level.
Entrepreneurhood.
Let's get it.
Anyone can start, but only champions finish. Now that you've completed this episode, you're ready to continue your journey by connecting directly with our hosts of Entrepreneurhood. Follow us on Instagram at The Entrepreneurhood to stay updated with the community. For each episode, the first set of listeners to tag us on Instagram and leave a 5-star review will be entered into a drawing to get a free one-on-one coaching session on the topic of entrepreneurship with our hosts. Remember, there is no shame in struggling, because we fail, we grow, and we win. Right here on Entrepreneurhood.